When I speak of letting them go, I am not speaking of physical separation, though that may sometimes follow. I am speaking of a mental and spiritual release, releasing others from your expectations, your demands, your need for them to fulfill some role you have assigned them in the drama of your life. This release is not for their sake, but for yours. For as long as you hold others in a fixed state in your imagination, demanding they change while you remain the same, you are bound to them in limitation. Let me share with you a principle that underlies all true manifestation. The outer world is nothing more than the projection of your inner assumptions. There is no world outside of your consciousness. What you see out there is nothing more than your consciousness pushed out. The people in your life, their behaviors toward you, the circumstances you find yourself in, all are reflections, projections of your states of consciousness, your assumptions about yourself and the world. Many of you have heard me say, imagination creates reality. But tonight I wish to deepen your understanding of this law. Your imagination is not creating others, it is creating your experience of others. The difference is crucial. When you imagine on a person changing to suit your desires without any transformation in yourself, you are attempting to violate the most sacred gift given to all beings. You cannot change another, you can only change yourself, and in that change, transform your experience of them. Consider this. If you were the only being in existence, and everything and everyone you perceive were but aspects of yourself projected outward, how would you approach transformation? Would you struggle and fight with these projections, demanding they change while you remain fixed in your ways? Or would you realize that the only point of power is within, in your consciousness, in your assumptions, in the feeling and tone of your inner conversations? I tell you, there is only one cause for the phenomena of life, and that cause is consciousness. Consciousness is the one and only reality. If you wish to change the effects in your life, you must change the cause, your consciousness. And the most direct way to change your consciousness is through the control and direction of your imagination. Now let us consider your relationships. Perhaps there is someone in your life who you believe must change for you to be happy. A partner who doesn't show love in the way you desire. A parent who doesn't respect your choices. A friend who betrays your trust. An employer who doesn't recognize your worth. You have tried to change them through external means, through conversations, arguments, withdrawal, manipulation, and yet they persist in being exactly who they are. This persistence is not a failure of your manifestation abilities. It is perfect success, for you have been manifesting exactly what you have been conscious of. If you hold in your mind an image of another as flawed, limited, hurtful, they must play that part in your life. They have no choice, for the law is absolute. Consciousness is the only reality, and what you are conscious of, you must experience. The great liberation comes when you truly understand that to change your experience of another, you need only change your consciousness of them. But and this is the great secret. You cannot authentically change your consciousness of another until you first change your consciousness of yourself. For what you see in others is always a reflection of what you believe about yourself. If you perceive betrayal in your world, ask yourself, where have I betrayed myself? If you perceive rejection, ask, where have I rejected my own nature, my own desires, my own truth? If you perceive lack of appreciation, ask, have I truly appreciated myself, honored my own gifts, acknowledged my own worth? The answers may surprise you, for we are often blind to our own self-betrayal, self-rejection, self-criticism. Yet these internal states are the true causes of our outer experiences. Change these, and your world must change in response. So when I say focus on yourself and let them go, I am inviting you to the most profound spiritual practice, the practice of self-transformation through the deliberate choice of your state of consciousness. To enter a state where you feel yourself to be the person you desire to be, regardless of external evidence to the contrary. To persist in this state until it becomes your dominant feeling, your natural assumption about life. Let me give you a personal example from my own experience. Many years ago, I found myself in a situation where someone close to me was behaving in a way that caused me great distress. I wanted desperately for them to change, to see things from my perspective, to act differently. I spent countless hours in mental argument with them, rehearsing all the reasons they should be different than they were. And yet, despite all my mental effort, nothing changed. In fact, the situation worsened. It was only when I realized the truth of what I now share with you that transformation occurred. I asked myself, what state am I occupying that is making this experience inevitable? How am I seeing myself that creates this reflection? The answer came with painful clarity. I was seeing myself as unworthy of respect, as someone who needed to fight for recognition. And so my world faithfully showed me this self-concept, reflected in the behavior of another. The moment I changed my concept of self, when I assumed the feeling of being naturally respected and valued, my experience of this person transformed completely. I did not ask them to change. I did not demand or plead or manipulate. I simply changed my state of consciousness, and my world rearranged itself to match my new assumption. This is the law, and it works with mathematical precision for anyone who applies it. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Neville, are you saying that I should simply accept mistreatment? That I should allow others to behave badly and do nothing? Not at all, my dear friends. I am saying something far more revolutionary. I am saying that what appears as mistreatment is itself a reflection of your state of consciousness. And that by changing your state, what appeared as mistreatment must either transform or remove itself from your experience. When you truly step into a new concept of self, one in which you are worthy, loved, respected, and free, those who cannot reflect this back to you will either transform in your experience or disappear from it altogether. This is not something you do to them. It is simply the law in operation. Like iron filings arranging themselves around a magnet, your experiences arrange themselves around your dominant state. So let them go. Release them from your expectations, your demands, your mental arguments. This does not mean you become a doormat, or that you do not establish healthy boundaries. It means you stop trying to change them through external means and instead focus on the one point of power you truly have, your own state of consciousness. How do you do this in practical terms? Through the deliberate use of your imagination in the state hinting to sleep, that drowsy, receptive state before sleep, or upon first awakening. In this state, consciousness is most impressionable. It is here that you plant the seed of your new reality. Do not imagine others changing. Instead, imagine yourself experiencing the state that their change would bring you. If you desire respect from another, feel yourself respected. If you desire love, feel yourself loved. If you desire freedom, feel yourself free. The feeling is the secret, not the specific person or circumstance. And here is another crucial point. When you imagine your desired state, it must be from the consciousness of it being done, complete, already a fact. You do not wish for it, you do not hope for it, you do not pray for it to happen in some future time. You enter the state of consciousness where it is done now, and you view the world from that state. Many fail in manifestation because they approach it from a consciousness of lack, of needing, wanting, hoping. But the law responds not to what you want, but to what you are. It is your state of being that determines your experience, not your desires. Desire is simply the impulse that moves you toward a new state, but it is in the assumption of the state fulfilled that the creative power lies. So tonight, I invite each of you to a new practice. Before you sleep, enter that drowsy state where consciousness is most impressionable. Then, instead of reviewing the disappointments and frustrations of your day, especially those involving others, consciously select a scene that implies your desire fulfilled. Not others changing, but you experiencing the state that their change would bring. Feel the naturalness of this state. Sense its reality. Enjoy the feeling of it accomplished. Then drift into sleep from this consciousness. Do this night after night, and you will be astonished at how your outer world begins to conform to this inner assumption. During your waking hours, whenever you catch yourself focusing on others, criticizing them, wishing they would change, feeling frustrated by their behavior, gently bring your attention back to yourself. Ask, what state am I in that is creating this experience? What would be the feeling if my desire were fulfilled right now? Then, as best you can, enter that state and view your world from it. This practice requires vigilance and persistence, for your habitual patterns of thought are strong. The tendency to blame, to focus outward, to demand that others change is deeply ingrained. But each time you catch yourself and redirect your attention inward, you strengthen your power to choose your state consciously. And remember, the state you choose must feel natural to you. If it feels like pretense, like fantasy, it will not take root in your consciousness. This is why I emphasize the feeling, the emotional tone of the state desire. When you capture the feeling of your wish fulfilled, when you make it feel as natural as your current reality feels now, then the bridge of incidents that leads to its physical manifestation is automatically set in motion. I have tested this law in innumerable ways in my own life and witnessed its operation in the lives of countless others. It never fails. Consciousness is the only reality. And what you are conscious of, you must experience. Change your consciousness, and you change your world. Now there is another aspect of letting go that we must address. Not only must you let go of others in the sense of releasing them from your expectations and demands, but you must also let go of your attachment to specific outcomes and timing. Many of you have heard the phrase detachment in spiritual teachings, but few truly understand its meaning. Detachment is not indifference or lack of desire. It is the profound understanding that what you seek is already yours in consciousness, and therefore you can release the anxiety, the need, the desperate grasping that comes from believing it is separate from you. When you truly know that what you desire is already accomplished in consciousness, when you have captured the feeling tone of your wish fulfilled and made it natural, then you can release it completely, confident that its outer manifestation is assured by law. This is true detachment, and it is essential for manifestation. For as long as you are anxiously looking for signs of your desire's fulfillment, as long as you are checking to see if it's working, you are actually affirming its absence. You are occupying a state of consciousness that says, it is not here, and I need evidence that it's coming. From this state, you can only manifest more evidence of absence, more need for proof. The master manifestor assumes the feeling of the wish fulfilled and then releases it completely, turning their attention to the present moment, confident that what is done in consciousness must express itself in experience when the time is right. They do not make their happiness or peace contingent on the manifestation. They are already experiencing the state that the manifestation would bring. This is the ultimate meaning of focus on yourself and let them go. Focus on your state of consciousness, on the feeling tone of your being, and let go of all concern about external conditions and others' behaviors. Trust that as you maintain the desired state in consciousness, all outer circumstances must rearrange themselves to reflect this inner reality. I am often asked, but Neville, how long will it take? When will I see results? And my answer is always the same. It takes as long as it takes for the new state to become your dominant feeling, your natural assumption. For some, this happens in an instant. For others, it requires days or weeks of persistent assumption. The variable is not the law, which is absolute, but your ability to naturalize the new state. If you have spent years assuming a certain self-concept, seeing others in a fixed way, it may take time and persistence to establish a new pattern. But I promise you this, every moment spent in the consciousness of your wish fulfilled moves you closer to its expression in your outer world. There is no loss in the economy of God. No effort is wasted. And here is something else to consider. The moment you truly capture the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you have it. The inner experience is the reality. The outer manifestation is but its shadow. Many of you are so fixated on the shadow that you miss the substance that is already yours in consciousness. Learn to enjoy the state itself, independent of its outer confirmation. If you desire a loving relationship, for example, capture the feeling of being loved and appreciate that feeling for its own sake. Revel in it. Enjoy it. Let it fill your consciousness. In doing so, you are experiencing the substance of your desire, and the shadow must follow by law. This brings us to another crucial aspect of letting go, releasing the past. Many of you are bound to your past experiences, carrying them forward into your present and projecting them into your future. You have had experiences of betrayal, rejection, failure, and you hold these as evidence of what is real or possible for you. But I tell you, the past exists only in your memory. It has no power to create your future, except through your continued consciousness of it. When you truly understand that consciousness is the only reality, you realize that you are free at any moment to create anew, regardless of what has gone before. Your past does not define you unless you continue to identify with it. Your previous relationships do not determine your future relationships unless you carry forward the same assumptions. You are free now, in this very moment, to choose a different state, to assume a different self-concept, and in so doing, to create an entirely new future. This is true forgiveness, not the forgiveness that says, you did something wrong, but I'll overlook it. Rather, it is the profound realization that there is nothing to forgive because what you experienced was but the reflection of your own state of consciousness at that time. As you shift your consciousness, you automatically release the past and all involved in it. So focus on yourself, not your surface self with all its habits and history, but your true self, your consciousness, which is God in individualized expression. For that is what you are. God pushed out into expression as the unique being that you are. Your consciousness is God consciousness. Your imagination is God imagination. Your creative power is God power. When you truly grasp this, you understand that focusing on yourself is not selfishness. It is the ultimate responsibility. For in transforming your own consciousness, you transform your world. And since all of us share the one consciousness differentiated into seemingly separate beings, your transformation contributes to the transformation of all. This is the esoteric meaning behind the command to love your neighbor as yourself. It is not merely a moral injunction. It is a metaphysical fact. Your neighbor is yourself pushed out. What you see in others is what you have first seen and accepted in yourself. Love yourself. Accept yourself as a divine being that you truly are. And you automatically extend this love and acceptance to all you encounter. And now we come to perhaps the most challenging aspect of our subject. Loving yourself enough to let go of those who cannot or will not reflect your highest vision of yourself back to you. This does not mean condemning them or judging them. It means releasing them to their own journey while you focus on yours. If you have been in relationships, whether romantic, familial, or friendly, where you feel diminished, unappreciated, or constrained, it may be time to redirect your energy. Not necessarily by ending the physical relationship, though that may sometimes be the natural outcome, but by ending your psychological and emotional dependence on their approval or understanding. Many of you stay in situations that drain your energy and dim your light because you fear being alone or because you believe you can eventually change the other person. But as we have established, you cannot change another. You can only change yourself. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do, both for yourself and for them, is to release them from your expectations and focus on your own transformation. Remember, this is not abandonment, it is respect for their journey and commitment to your own. As you shift your focus to your own consciousness, raising it to higher states of love, fulfillment, and peace, one of two things will happen. Either they will be drawn up along with you into this higher vibration, or the relationship will naturally dissolve, making way for connections that better reflect your new state. Either outcome is perfect because both serve your evolution and theirs. This is the true meaning of all things work together for good. Not that everything that happens is inherently good, but that all experiences, when approached from the consciousness of your deep nature, contribute to your awakening and expansion. So tonight, as you contemplate this teaching, I invite you to take inventory of your relationships. Where are you focusing on changing others rather than transforming yourself? Where are you demanding that reality conform to your desires without first establishing the corresponding state in consciousness? Where are you holding others responsible for your happiness or fulfillment? Then, with compassion for yourself and others, begin the practice of shifting your focus inward, not in narcissistic self-absorption, but in recognition that the kingdom of heaven is within you, and it is from this inner kingdom that all outer experiences are generated. Start small if you must. Choose one relationship or situation that has been challenging and apply this principle. Before sleep tonight, imagine yourself experiencing the state that a transformed relationship would bring. Feel the freedom, the joy, the peace. Make it real in your consciousness. Then release it completely, trusting the law to bring about the outer manifestation in its perfect timing. During your waking hours, whenever your attention is drawn to the other person's behavior or the external conditions, gently bring it back to your own state. Ask yourself, what am I assuming right now? What state am I occupying? Then consciously choose again, selecting the state that aligns with your desire rather than your history. This practice requires vigilance and commitment. The habitual mind will try to pull you back into old patterns of blame, criticism, and external focus. Each time it does, simply notice without judgment and redirect your attention to your state of being. Over time, this new pattern will become natural, and you will find yourself spontaneously maintaining higher states of consciousness. And remember, the goal is not to use this teaching to manipulate others or to get what your ego wants. The goal is to awaken to your true nature as a divine being capable of creating consciously rather than by default. It is to move from being a victim of circumstances to being the author of your experience. It is to fulfill the true purpose of your existence, the full expression of God in your uniquely individualized form. As you practice focusing on yourself, on your consciousness, your assumptions, your feeling states, and letting go of others, you will discover a freedom and power that perhaps you have never known before. You will understand that you are not at the mercy of the world. The world is at the mercy of your consciousness. You will know with absolute certainty that what you experience is what you are, pushed out into expression. And in this knowing, you will find peace. Not the peace that comes from controlling external conditions, but the peace that comes from mastering your internal condition. The peace of knowing that whatever happens outside, you remain in control of your state of being, your point of view, your experience of life. This is true freedom. Not freedom from circumstances, but freedom within circumstances. Freedom to choose your state regardless of what appears in the mirror of the world. Freedom to create consciously through the deliberate selection of the states you occupy. So tonight, as you lay your head upon your pillow, remember, focus on yourself and let them go. Enter the state that would be yours if your desire were already fulfilled. Feel its reality, its naturalness. Then sleep knowing that as you have assumed, so shall it be in your experience. The law is absolute and it never fails. What you are conscious of, you must experience. Change your consciousness, and you change your world. This is the promise and the challenge I leave with you tonight. My dear friends, we have explored together a profound truth that has the power to transform your life completely. Remember that you are not a helpless observer of your life circumstances, but the author of them through your consciousness. Your assumptions, beliefs, and the feeling tone of your inner world are constantly being projected outward as your experience. When you truly understand that focusing on yourself, on your state of consciousness, is the key to transformation, you free yourself from the exhausting effort of trying to change others. You recognize that letting others go is not abandonment, but the highest respect for their journey and yours. You see that in releasing your attachment to how others should be, you create space for them and you to become what you truly are. Practice these principles daily. Before sleep and upon waking, consciously select the state that implies your wish fulfilled. During your waking hours, vigilantly monitor your assumptions, choosing again whenever you find yourself focusing outward rather than inward. Trust the law implicitly, knowing that what is done in consciousness must objectify itself in your experience. And above all, remember that you are God individualized, the supreme creative power focused into expression as the unique being that you are. Honor this divine inheritance by using your imagination consciously, lovingly, and wisely. For as you transform your consciousness, you transform your world, and in doing so, contribute to the transformation of all. The choice is always yours, in every moment. Choose wisely, choose lovingly, and watch as your world reshapes itself to reflect the glory of your true being. God bless you, my dear friends, and may you go forth in the joy and power of this understanding. I tell you with complete certainty, the thing you have been seeking is, at this very moment, seeking you. The desire that burns within your heart was planted there by the divine, and that same divinity is now orchestrating all events, all circumstances, all seeming obstacles, to deliver unto you the perfect expression of that desire. Let us begin with the fundamental truth, a truth that many of you have heard me speak of before, but which bears repeating, for it is the foundation upon which all manifestation rests. You are God, not a part of God, not a creation separate from God, but God individualized. I and my Father are one, said the greatest teacher who ever walked this earth. He did not say, I and my Father are two, working together. No, he claimed complete unity with the divine power that creates and sustains all things. And what is God? God is your own wonderful human imagination. That is the creative power in the universe. There is no other God. When you imagine a state and assume the feeling of that state is already realized, you are literally God in action, creating the conditions and events that must follow from that state. So when I tell you that everything you've been waiting for is coming, I am not speaking of some vague future possibility. I am speaking of an absolute law, as certain as gravity, as reliable as the rising of the sun. The law of assumption states that if you assume you are what you want to be, and continue in that assumption, it must harden into fact in your outer world. Consider for a moment the things you've been waiting for. Perhaps it's financial abundance, a loving relationship, perfect recognition for your talents, or a sense of purpose and fulfillment. Whatever it may be, know this, the mere fact that you can conceive of these things means they already exist in what we might call the fourth dimensional reality, the realm of imagination, which is the very substance of God. Your task then is not to make these things happen through effort and struggle. Your task is to transfer your consciousness from where you are to where you desire to be. You must mentally live in your wish fulfilled. You must, through the controlled use of your imagination, assume the feeling of already being the person who has what you desire. Let me share with you a secret that has transformed countless lives. Feeling is the secret. It is not enough to merely visualize what you want or to affirm it with your lips. You must capture and maintain the feeling of already having it. For feeling is the language that speaks to the subconscious, and the subconscious is the creative power that shapes your world. Now, some of you may be thinking, but Neville, I have tried this, and my desire has not materialized. To you I say this, revision is necessary. You must go back and revise the experiences that have convinced you of lack, of impossibility, of unworthiness. For as long as those beliefs persist in your subconscious, they will continue to project themselves into your world. Tonight I invite you to a new practice. When you return to your home, sit quietly in your room. Close your eyes and ask yourself, what is it that I truly desire? Allow the answer to come from the depths of your being. Then, with your eyes still closed, construct a scene in your imagination that would imply the fulfillment of that desire. Perhaps it is a friend congratulating you, or simply the feeling of deep satisfaction and contentment that would accompany your desire's fulfillment. Now enter that scene. Make it as real as possible in your imagination. See the colors, hear the sounds, feel the textures, and most importantly, feel the emotions that would be yours in that moment of fulfillment. Feel the gratitude, the joy, the peace, the love. Feel it so intensely that when you open your eyes, a part of you knows with unshakable certainty that what you have imagined is now in the process of becoming your physical reality. Do this night after night, and you will be preparing yourself for the manifestation that is already on its way to you. For make no mistake, my dear friends, the law is always working. Just as the law of gravity operates, whether you believe in it or not, the law of assumption is constantly shaping your experience according to the state you have assumed. Now let us speak of preparation. How does one prepare for the arrival of their heart's desire? First, by understanding the nature of time. In this three-dimensional world, events seem to unfold sequentially, creating the illusion of past, present, and future. But in the fourth dimension, in the realm of imagination, all possible states exist simultaneously. When you enter a state in your imagination, you are actually selecting one of these already existing states and bringing it into your three-dimensional experience. The time it takes for your imagined state to materialize in your physical reality is directly proportional to the naturalness of the state you've assumed. This is why feeling is so crucial. The more naturally you can feel yourself to be the person who already has what you desire, the more rapidly that desire will clothe itself in civil form. So preparation begins with cultivating patience and faith. Patience because seed time and harvest is a law of nature. You cannot plant a seed and expect it to bear fruit the same day. And faith because you must trust the process even when your senses deny the reality of your assumption. I have witnessed countless manifestations in my own life and in the lives of those who have applied this law. Let me share with you a story that illustrates this principle. A gentleman once came to me in dire financial straits. He had lost his business, was deeply in debt, and could see no way out of his predicament. I instructed him to imagine just before sleep each night that he was counting out large sums of money, feeling the crisp beat between his fingers, and experiencing the relief and joy of financial abundance. 2 weeks passed, and nothing changed in his outer circumstances. 3 weeks and still nothing. But he persisted in his imaginal act. Then, at the end of the month, he received a phone call from a former business associate whom he had not spoken to in years. This associate proposed a partnership that, within 6 months, restored my friend to a state of financial prosperity, far exceeding what he had known before. This is the law in operation. The seed was planted in imagination, it grew in the darkness of the subconscious, and it manifested in perfect time through channels that the conscious mind could never have conceived. So I say to you, everything you've been waiting for is coming. It is already on its way. But you must prepare yourself by living from the end, by occupying the state of consciousness that would be yours if your desire were already fulfilled. Now there's another aspect of preparation that I must address, and it is perhaps the most important of all. You must be willing to let go of your old concept of self. For many of you, the person you believe yourself to be is intimately tied to the circumstances you currently experience. To manifest a new reality, you must be willing to become a new self. This is the true meaning of death and rebirth. It is not the physical body that must die, but rather the old concept of self. You must die to your present self-concept to be reborn as the self that is aligned with your desire. This can be challenging, for the ego resists change. It clings to the familiar, even when the familiar is painful or limiting. But I assure you, this death is not to be feared, for what awaits you on the other side is the fulfillment of all that you have ever dreamed. Let me be very clear about this law of assumption. It is not mere positive thinking or wishful fantasizing. It is the deliberate use of your imagination to select and occupy a state of consciousness. When this is done with feeling and persistence, the outer world must rearrange itself to reflect your inner reality. Think of it this way. Your consciousness is like a radio dial. On that dial are infinite stations, each one broadcasting a different version of reality. The station you are tuned to right now is broadcasting your current life circumstances. To change those circumstances, you must tune the dial to a different station, one that is broadcasting the reality you desire to experience. The tuning is done through your imagination, guided by feeling. When you imagine a scene that implies the fulfillment of your desire, and when you feel the emotions that such fulfillment bring, you are turning the dial to a new station. Persist in this new frequency, and your outer world will shift to match it. Now some of you may wonder about the role of action in this process. Must you not also take action to realize your desires? The truth is that inspired action will flow naturally from your changed consciousness. When you genuinely assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you will find yourself naturally doing the things that someone in that state would do. Moreover, doors will open that were previously closed to you. Opportunities will present themselves that your logical mind could never have devised. People will be drawn to you who can assist in the manifestation of your desire. All of this happens not because you are forcing it through willpower, but because you have changed your state of consciousness, and your outer world must conform to that inner change. Let me give you another illustration from my own experience. Many years ago, I desired to travel to Barbados to visit my family. However, I had no money for passage, and the wartime restrictions made civilian travel difficult. Rather than focusing on these obstacles, I went to sleep each night imagining that I was sleeping in my childhood home in Barbados. I could feel the tropical breeze, hear the familiar sounds, and experience the joy of being with my loved ones. Within a few weeks, I received a letter from my brother containing money for passage, and shortly thereafter, I was granted a spot on a ship bound for Barbados, despite the wartime restrictions on civilian travel. The outer circumstances rearranged themselves to match my inner assumption. This is the promise I make to you tonight. Whatever you have been waiting for, be it love, wealth, health, or any other desire of your heart, it is coming to you now. But you must prepare yourself by assuming the feeling of its fulfillment, by living from the state of consciousness of having already received it. Let us delve deeper into this preparation, for it is multifaceted and requires a certain discipline of mind. The first aspect of preparation is mental. You must clean the windows of your mind, clear away the accumulated dust of limiting beliefs and negative assumptions. Begin by watching your thoughts and the words you speak. Are they aligned with your desire, or do they contradict it? Do you affirm abundance while secretly harboring thoughts of lack? Do you speak of health while dwelling on symptoms of illness? This divided mind cannot manifest effectively. As it is written, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. To prepare your mind, practice what I call mental dieting. Just as you would carefully select the food you put into your body for optimal health, so must you carefully select the thoughts you allow to dwell in your mind. Feed your mind with thoughts of the wish fulfilled. Starve your mind of thoughts that contradict your desire. When negative thoughts arise, and they will, for the old habits of mind, do not surrender easily, do not fight them or suppress them. Simply observe them without judgment, and then deliberately replace them with thoughts that support your new assumption. The second aspect of preparation is emotional. As I have emphasized, feeling is the secret. You must cultivate the emotional state that would be yours if your desire were already fulfilled. This requires emotional discipline and awareness. Many of you live in a constant state of emotional reaction to external circumstances. Something happens, and you react with anger, fear, disappointment, or resentment. This reactive pattern keeps you bound to your current reality. To break free, you must become the master of your emotional state, choosing it deliberately rather than having it dictated by circumstances. Practice feeling the emotions of your wish fulfilled, regardless of what your senses report. Feel the security of financial abundance, even when your bank account is empty. Feel the love and companionship of a harmonious relationship, even when you appear to be alone. Feel the vitality and energy of perfect health, even when your body seems to contradict this. The third aspect of preparation is spiritual. By this, I do not mean religious in the conventional sense, but rather the recognition of your true identity as a spiritual being, as God individualized in human form. The greatest barrier to manifesting your desires is the belief in separation, the belief that you are separate from your good, separate from other people, separate from God. This belief in separation is the root of all fear, all lack, all conflict. To prepare spiritually is to embrace the truth of your oneness with all that is. It is to recognize that the power that created the universe is not outside of you, but within you, expressing as you. It is your very consciousness, your awareness, your I am. When you truly understand this, you will no longer beg or plead for your good to come to you from some external source. You will know that all that you desire already exists within you as a state of consciousness, waiting to be assumed and expressed. The fourth aspect of preparation is physical. Your physical body and environment are the densest, most external expressions of your consciousness. As such, they often lag behind your mental and emotional shifts. This is why patience is necessary. However, you can support the manifestation process by bringing your physical environment into alignment with your assumption. Clear out the clutter that represents your old life. Create space for the new to enter. Dress, speak, and carry yourself as the person who already has what you desire. This is not pretense or fakery. It is the outer expression of an inner conviction. It is living from the end, embodying the state you wish to manifest. Now let us address a question that often arises: what about the desires of others? What if what you want conflicts with what someone else wants? Remember this: in the realm of true creation, there is no competition, no scarcity, no conflict of interests. When you operate from the level of the imagination, which is the level of God, you are not taking from anyone else. You are selecting from the infinite variety of already existing states. Moreover, when you assume a state of consciousness that includes harmonious relationships and mutual benefit, that is what you will experience. If you assume a state of having what you want at the expense of others, that conflict will manifest in your experience. This is why I advocate assuming states of consciousness that embody the highest good for all concerned. Imagine not only your own joy and fulfillment, but also the joy and fulfillment of everyone involved in your manifestation. Let me share with you another principle that will help you in preparing for the arrival of your desire. It is the principle of detachment, or what some might call letting go. Many of you hold on to your desires with such desperation, such anxiety about whether or when they will manifest, that you actually push them away. This anxious attachment comes from the belief that what you want is separate from you and might elude your grasp. True manifestation requires a certain detachment, not from the desire itself, but from the anxious need to control the timing and the means of its fulfillment. When you have truly assumed the state of the wish fulfilled, you can relax in the certainty that the outer reality must conform to your inner assumption in its own perfect time and way. This detachment is not indifference. It is the quiet confidence that comes from knowing the law and trusting its operation. It is the peace of mind that allows you to get on with your daily life, secure in the knowledge that your new reality is already established in consciousness and is now moving toward you in the world of form. Now I want to address something that many of you struggle with: the appearance of obstacles or delays in the manifestation of your desire. When your outer world seems to contradict your inner assumption, it is easy to become discouraged and to doubt the law. But I tell you this: what appears as an obstacle or delay is often the very means by which your desire will be fulfilled. The bridge of incidents that leads to your manifestation may include elements that your limited perspective seem to be taking you further away from your goal. This is where faith becomes essential, not blind faith in some external power, but faith in the law, faith in the creative power of your own consciousness. Trust that the seed you have planted in the garden of your mind is growing, even when you cannot yet see the sprout above the soil. And remember this: the manifestation always comes in ways that you could not have planned with your conscious mind. If you try to dictate exactly how your desire should manifest, you limit the infinite intelligence that is orchestrating the perfect unfoldment of your assumption. So release all anxiety about the how and the when. Your job is to maintain the state of consciousness of the wish fulfilled. The law will take care of the rest, bringing your desire to you through the path of least resistance, which may not be the path you would have consciously chosen. Let me give you yet another example from my own experience. There was a time when I desired to be invited to speak at a certain prestigious venue. Rather than focusing on all the reasons why this seemed unlikely, I simply imagined hearing the director of the venue introducing me to the audience. I felt the satisfaction and gratitude of this experience in my imagination. A few weeks passed, and I received no invitation. Then, seemingly unrelated to my desire, I was invited to speak at a small gathering in a private home. I accepted, though it appeared to have nothing to do with my original wish. At this gathering was a guest who, unknown to me, was a close friend of the director of the prestigious venue I had imagined speaking at. This guest was so moved by my talk that they recommended me to the director, and within a month I received the invitation I had imagined. Had I been fixated on a direct invitation coming from the director, I might have declined the seemingly insignificant invitation to speak at the private home, thereby missing the bridge of insights that was leading to the fulfillment of my desire. This is why I counsel you to release all preconceptions about how your good will come to you. Trust the law, maintain your assumption, and allow the infinite intelligence to work out the details. Now, as we approach the close of our time together, I want to address one final aspect of preparation that is often overlooked but is absolutely crucial. It is the practice of gratitude. Gratitude is the feeling that completes the manifestation cycle. When you express gratitude for something, you are affirming its reality in your experience. Gratitude is the recognition that what you have asked for has already been given. Begin now to give thanks for the fulfillment of your desire, even before it appears in your three-dimensional reality. Thank your Father, which is your own magnificent human imagination, for having already granted your request. This is not pretense. It is recognition of the truth that in the fourth dimensional reality, where your imagination dwells, your desire is already fulfilled. Your gratitude acknowledges this truth and helps to bring it into your three-dimensional experience. Make gratitude a daily practice. Each night before you sleep, review the day as if your desire had already been fulfilled. Feel the gratitude that such fulfillment would inspire. Let that feeling of gratitude be the last emotion you experience before drifting into sleep, for the subconscious is most receptive in those moments before slumber. And as you awaken each morning, let your first thought be one of gratitude for the fulfillment of your desire. In this way, you create a consciousness saturated with the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and this consciousness must externalize itself in your world. My dear friends, I have shared with you tonight the truth that everything you've been waiting for is coming to you now. I have explained the law by which this manifestation occurs, the law of assumption, and I have outlined the ways in which you can prepare yourself to receive your heart's desire. Let me summarize these principles once more, that they may be firmly established in your understanding. First, know that you are God individualized. The creative power of the universe is your own human imagination. Second, to manifest your desire, you must assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Feeling is the secret that speaks to the subconscious, which is the creative power. Third, prepare yourself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically for the manifestation of your desire. Live from the end, embodying the state of consciousness that would be yours if your desire were already fulfilled. Fourth, release anxiety about the timing and the means of manifestation. Trust the law, knowing that the bridge of incidents is being built to bring your desire to you in divine order. Fifth, practice gratitude for the fulfillment of your desire, affirming its reality in the fourth dimension, which is the realm of imagination. As you leave this place tonight and return to your homes, I challenge you to put these principles into practice. Select one desire, the thing you want most at this moment, and begin to live as if it were already yours. Feel the emotions it would inspire. Express the gratitude it would evoke. Embody the state of consciousness it would create. Do this consistently, persistently, faithfully. And I promise you that your outer world will reshape itself to match your inner assumption. For this is the law, and the law is absolute. Everything you've been waiting for is coming to you now. Prepare yourself by becoming in consciousness the person who already has it. For what you are, in consciousness, you must manifest in experience. The world is yourself pushed out. Change yourself and you change your world. This is the great secret, the great revelation, the great law by which all things come into being. Go now in the knowledge of your divinity, in the certainty of the law, and in the joyful expectation of the manifestation of all that your heart desires. For truly all things are possible to him who believes. Remember, creation is finished. All states exist now. Your task is not to create what you want, but to appropriate what already exists. And you do this through the assumption of the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Tonight, as you lay your head upon your pillow, I urge you to make this your practice. Enter into the silence of your own being. Construct a scene that would imply the fulfillment of your desire. Enter that scene. Make it real. Feel it. Believe it. Accept it as true. Fall asleep in that state. And watch as the power that is your own wonderful human imagination goes to work, reshaping your world to match your assumption. For the law is this: as within, so without. As above, so below. What you assume, you become. What you believe, you receive. What you expect, you experience. Everything you've been waiting for is coming. It is already yours in consciousness. Now, through your faithful assumption, it will become yours in experience. My blessing goes with you. May you use this law wisely, lovingly, and joyfully for the enrichment of your own life and the lives of all those you touch. The greatest secret, the most profound truth about how God introduces you to your soulmate is this. God does not introduce you to your soulmate at all, for God is you. And you are already creating this divine union in your imagination, whether you realize it or not. The true nature of God and your imagination. Let me begin by clarifying what I mean when I speak of God. I am not referring to some external deity sitting on a throne in the distant heavens, manipulating the circumstances of your life according to some mysterious plan. No. When I speak of God, I am referring to the divine presence that dwells within you, your own wonderful human imagination. Your imagination is God in action. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Word here is not some abstract concept, but the internal conversation you carry on with yourself day after day. It is this inner conversation, this use of your divine imagination, that is creating every circumstance in your life, including the arrival of your soulmate. You see, most people have it entirely backward. They believe that God, as some external force, will somehow orchestrate the perfect meeting with their ideal partner when the time is right. They wait and they pray and they hope, looking outward for signs, when all along the creative power lies within them. They are waiting for a God outside themselves to perform an act that only the God within them, their own wonderful human imagination, can perform. The LA and the promise. There are two aspects to this divine operation, what I call the law and the promise. The law is this: imagining creates reality. Whatever you assume to be true, whatever you feel to be real while in a state akin to sleep, that is, while your attention is focused exclusively on your inner world, must objectify itself in your outer world. This is not some metaphysical speculation, but a principle as reliable as gravity. It cannot fail. The promise is that you will awaken to the realization that you are God, the sole creator of your life experience. When it comes to your soulmate, both the law and the promise are at work. Through the law, you can manifest the specific relationship your heart desires. Through the promise, you will eventually realize that this outer relationship is but a reflection of an inner union that has already taken place. The creative power of imagination. Now let us explore how this creative power, your imagination, actually works to bring your soulmate into your life. Most people think that what they observe in their world is the cause of what they feel. They believe that when they finally meet the right one, then they will feel loved, complete, fulfilled. But this is completely backward. Feeling is the secret. Feeling is not the result of having found your soulmate. Feeling is the cause that brings your soulmate to you. Let me repeat that. Feeling is not the effect, feeling is the cause. You must first generate within yourself the feeling that would naturally follow having already met and united with your soulmate. You must live from the end. What does it feel like to be in the perfect relationship? Is it a feeling of security, of passion, of being completely understood, of peaceful companionship? Whatever that feeling is for you, you must capture it and dwell in it, knowing that this feeling is the creative force that will rearrange the circumstances of your life to match it. But you might ask, Neville, how can I feel that which has not yet happened? And I would answer, your imagination is the bridge. Through the controlled use of your imagination, you can experience now what your senses deny. This is the true meaning of faith, the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, living from the end. Here is the practical application of what I am telling you tonight as you lie in your bed. Quiet your mind and body until you reach that drowsy, sleepy state just before sleep claims you. In this state, construct a scene that implies you have already found and united with your soulmate. Perhaps you imagine lying beside them, feeling their presence, their warmth. Perhaps you imagine introducing them to a friend or family member, hearing yourself say, I'd like you to meet my husband, wife. Perhaps you imagine celebrating an anniversary, looking back on years of joy spent together. Whatever scene you choose, it must imply that the relationship is already a fact. And as you construct this scene, involve all your senses. Feel the warmth of their embrace, hear their voice, smell their scent, see their smile. Make it as real as possible in your imagination. And most importantly, capture and intensify the feeling that this scene evokes within you. Then, as you drift off to sleep, carry this feeling with you. Let it be the last thing in your consciousness that sleep claims you. For it is this feeling impressed upon your subconscious mind that will work night and day to bring about its physical equivalent in your world, the Sabbath. And once you have performed this imaginative act, you must enter what the Bible calls the Sabbath. The Sabbath is not a day of the week, but a state of consciousness. It is a state of complete rest, where you cease from all effort, knowing that what you have imagined must come to pass. To enter the Sabbath means to live as though your desire has already been fulfilled. You don't continue to ask or beg or plead for your soulmate to appear, for that would imply they are absent. Instead, you give thanks for their presence in your life, even though your senses may not yet confirm it. This is perhaps the most difficult part for most people. They perform the imaginative act, and then they look to the world for confirmation. When they don't see immediate results, they become anxious, doubtful, and begin the whole process again, never allowing the seed they have planted to grow to full manifestation. But I tell you this, God's promises are yes and amen. What you have conceived in your imagination with feeling must objectify itself in your world. It is law, but you must give it time to unfold according to its own pattern, its own rhythm. You must remain faithful to your imaginative act, persisting in the assumption that what you have imagined is already done. Your inner conversations. Now, let me speak about something that many of you may not have considered: your inner conversations. Throughout the day, you are constantly talking to yourself, carrying on internal dialogues. These inner conversations are powerful creative forces. When it comes to your soulmate, what is the nature of your inner conversation? You tell yourself, I'll never find the right person. Do you rehearse past disappointments and project them into your future? Do you constantly question why you are still alone? If so, you are using your creative power, the God within you, to perpetuate the very state you wish to escape. Instead, revise your inner conversation to align with your desire. Speak to yourself as though your soulmate is already part of your life. Let your inner voice say, I am so grateful for the love we share, or how wonderful it is to be so perfectly matched. Make these new thought patterns a habit, and you will be amazed at how quickly your external reality begins to shift. Remember, your consciousness is the only reality. The world you experience is simply consciousness objectified. Change your consciousness through your controlled imagination and revised inner conversations, and you change your world. The bridge of incidents. Now, when you have properly impressed your subconscious mind with the feeling of your wish fulfilled, a bridge of incidents will form to lead you to the physical realization of your desire. This bridge of incidents is a series of apparently causally connected events that lead to the manifestation of your desire. You need not be concerned with how this bridge will form. That is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is only to remain faithful to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The infinite intelligence within you, which is God, knows how to bring about the perfect circumstances to unite you with your soulmate. It may not happen in the way you expect. In fact, it rarely does. You may meet this person in the most unlikely place, under the most unusual circumstances. What appears to be a chance encounter will be revealed in retrospect as part of an intricate and perfect plan that was set in motion the moment you impressed your subconscious mind with the feeling of your wish fulfilled. This is how God, your own wonderful human imagination, introduces you to your soulmate. Not through external manipulation of events, but through the internal manipulation of consciousness, which then objectifies itself as the perfect series of events leading to your divine union. Recognizing your soulmate. Many wonder how they will recognize their soulmate when they appear. They fear they might miss the divine appointment or mistake someone else for their true match. But I tell you this, when you have properly used your imagination to impress the feeling of the wish fulfilled upon your subconscious mind, Recognition will be automatic and mutual. For what you are really doing through this process is not so much attracting a specific person as you are attracting a specific state of consciousness. As you dwell in the feeling of having already found your perfect match, you are vibrating at the frequency of that fulfilled relationship. And only someone who is vibrating at that same frequency can come into your experience as a permanent fixture. This is why false relationships so often fail. When we try to make someone fit our idea of the perfect partner, without having first established within ourselves the consciousness of the perfect relationship, we are working against the law, not with it. Your soulmate is not so much a specific individual as they are the perfect embodiment of the state of consciousness you have established within yourself. Change your consciousness, and you change who can appear in your world as a match. The naturalness of the process. I want to emphasize the naturalness of this process. When you have successfully impressed your subconscious mind with the feeling of your wish fulfilled, the manifestation of your soulmate will unfold in the most natural way imaginable. There will be no strain, no struggle. It will not feel like a miracle, though in retrospect, you may marvel at the perfect orchestration of events that brought you together. This is because the outer world is a mirror reflecting back to you your own consciousness. When your consciousness is filled with the feeling of having already found your soulmate, the mirror must reflect that back to you in the form of an actual relationship. It cannot do otherwise, for that is the law. So do not look for signs or omens or synchronicities. Do not try to force meetings or manipulate circumstances. Simply dwell in the consciousness of the wish fulfilled and let the law do its perfect work. The signs and synchronicities will come of their own accord as confirmation, not as causes of the manifestation that is already underway. The importance of self-love. Now, there is an aspect of this process that is often overlooked but is absolutely crucial: self-love. For the state of consciousness that manifests your soulmate must include a deep and abiding love for yourself. Without this foundation, no lasting union is possible. Many seek a soulmate to fill a void within themselves, to complete what they perceive as lacking. But I tell you, from the state of lack, you can only create more lack. It is only from the state of wholeness that you can create a whole and fulfilling relationship. So before you enter into the imagination session I described earlier, first establish within yourself a feeling of self-completeness. Recognize that the God within you, your own wonderful human imagination, is the source of all love, all fulfillment. You are not seeking someone to complete you. You are seeking someone with whom to share your completeness. This shift in consciousness is subtle but profound. It changes the entire vibration of your being and attracts a completely different quality of relationship than the one sought from a place of lack or need. Revision of the past. For some of you, past relationships have left scars that make it difficult to imagine and feel the reality of a fulfilling soulmate connection. If this is the case, you must use the principle of revision to heal these wounds. Revision is the art of mentally rewriting past events to align with your desires. Before you can effectively impress upon your subconscious mind the feeling of a perfect soulmate relationship, you may need to revise the memories that contradict this new assumption. Each night before you enter into your imagination session focused on your soulmate, take a few moments to revise any painful relationship memories. Reimagine them as you wish they had happened. Feel the relief, the joy, the closure that comes with this revised version. Do this consistently, and you will find that the emotional charge of these memories begins to fade, making room for your new assumptions about love and partnership to take root. The divine timing. Many of you may be wondering about timing. When will my soulmate appear? Is a question I hear often. But I must tell you that time is a concept that exists only in the world of effects, not in the world of causes. In the realm of imagination, which is the causal realm, there is no time. There is only the state of consciousness that you occupy. The appearance of your soulmate in your physical reality is subject to what the Bible calls the fullness of time. This means that the manifestation will occur when all the necessary components have aligned, when your consciousness is stable in the assumption of the wish fulfilled, when the bridge of incidents has been properly constructed, and when both you and your soulmate are vibrating at frequencies that allow for the divine union. This is not to say that manifestation must take a long time. I have witnessed cases where soulmates have appeared within days of a successful imaginative act. I have also seen cases where the manifestation took months or even years. The variable is not God's willingness to grant your desire for God. Your own wonderful human imagination has already granted it the moment you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The variable is your ability to maintain that assumption consistently, without contradiction, until it hardens into fact. Testing the law. Well, I encourage you to test this law for yourself. Do not take my word for it. The Bible says, taste and see that the Lord is good. Experience for yourself the creative power of your own imagination. Tonight, as you lie in bed, construct the scene that implies you have already found and united with your soulmate. Feel the reality of it. Fall asleep in that feeling. Do this for 30 consecutive nights, without wavering, without looking for results, simply as an experiment in consciousness. At the end of those 30 days, you will have planted a seed in the fertile soil of your subconscious mind that must, by law, grow into the manifestation of your desire. And as you go through your days, revise your inner conversations to align with this new assumption. Speak to yourself as though your soulmate is already part of your life. Then release all anxiety about when or how they will appear. Enter the Sabbath, that state of complete rest, in the knowledge that what you have in mind must come to pass. Live as though your desire is already fulfilled. For in the realm of imagination, which is the only reality it is, the transformation of consciousness. What I am describing to you is not just a technique for manifesting a soulmate. It is a complete transformation of consciousness. As you apply these principles to this specific desire, you will find that your entire life begins to transform. For you cannot dwell in the consciousness of being loved, cherished, and perfectly matched without that consciousness spilling over into all areas of your life. Your relationships with family and friends will improve. Your work will become more fulfilling. Your health may even show signs of improvement. This is because you are aligning with the truth of your being that you are God, expressing as the specific individual you perceive yourself to be. This transformation of consciousness is the real miracle, far more significant than the appearance of any specific person in your life. For when you realize that you are the operant power in your world, that your imagination creates reality, you are free from victim consciousness forever. You no longer see yourself as subject to external forces, waiting for fate or chance to bring you what you desire. You recognize yourself as the author of your experience, the creator of your destiny. And from this elevated state of consciousness, your soulmate appears not as someone who will save you or complete you, but as the perfect reflection of the divine love you have awakened within yourself. This is the true divine union, not the union of two incomplete halves, but the union of two whole beings who recognize in each other the God that they themselves are. The persistence of faith. I must speak now about the importance of persistence, for many of you will begin this practice with great enthusiasm, only to abandon it when results do not immediately appear. This is the pattern I have observed in countless students over the years. They start with conviction but lack the persistence to see their desires through to manifestation. Faith is not a momentary surge of belief. It is the persistent occupation of the desired state. It is the unwavering confidence that what you have imagined and felt as real in your imagination must objectify itself in your physical reality. This kind of faith is rare, but it is the key to successful manifestation. When doubts arise, and they will arise, do not fight them or deny them. Simply observe them, and then gently return to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Each time you successfully return to that feeling despite contrary evidence, you strengthen the impression on your subconscious mind, bringing the manifestation closer. Remember the story of the fig tree in the Bible. Jesus cursed it, and it appeared unchanged. But he did not doubt his word. He continued on his way, confident that what he had decreed must come to pass. And when they passed by the fig tree again, it had withered from the roots. This is the model of perfect faith, speaking the word and then proceeding in the absolute confidence that it will manifest regardless of appearances. The role of gratitude. As you walk this path toward the manifestation of your soulmate, let gratitude be your constant companion. Gratitude is the highest vibration, the most magnetic attitude of mind. When you are grateful for your soulmate before they physically appear, you are functioning at the highest spiritual level. Each night as you perform your imaginative scene, concluded with deep and sincere gratitude. Thank God your own wonderful human imagination for having already granted your desire. Feel the gratitude that naturally accompanies the receipt of something precious and long desired. This attitude of gratitude accelerates manifestation because it affirms that what you have imagined is already yours. It closes the gap between your desire and its fulfillment, bringing them together in the eternal now. The signs following. Although I have cautioned you against looking for signs, it is natural that as your manifestation approaches physical realization, certain signs will begin to appear. You may find yourself randomly thinking about love and relationships more often. You may notice happy couples everywhere you go. You may even have dreams of your soulmate before you meet them physically. These signs are not the cause of your manifestation, but the effects of your changed consciousness. They are confirmations that the bridge of incidents is under construction. Welcome them, but do not become attached to them. They are signposts along the way, not the destination itself. And when your soulmate does appear in your life, it will seem so natural, so perfect, that you may temporarily forget the imaginative work you did to bring them to you. This too is part of the process. For the law works best when it seems not to be working at all, when manifestation appears to be the result of natural causes rather than spiritual law. But in quiet moments of reflection, you will recognize the truth that this divine union was orchestrated not by some external deity, but by the God within you, your own wonderful human imagination. And in this recognition lies a power and a freedom beyond anything you have previously known. The perfection of the Allah. I want to address a concern that many have expressed to me over the years. They worry that if they use their imagination to manifest a specific type of person as their soulmate, they might somehow interfere with free will or divine order. But this concern is based on a misunderstanding of the law. The law of assumption does not override anyone's free will. It simply draws to you the people and circumstances that align with your state of consciousness. Your soulmate is drawn to you by the same law that draws you to them. Their appearance in your life is as much their manifestation as it is yours. This is the perfect operation of divine law. You are not forcing anyone to be with you against their will. You are simply aligning yourself with the state of consciousness in which your soulmate is already present. And from that state, the law works to bring together those who are vibrating at compatible frequencies. So release all concerns about interfering with the natural order. There is no order more natural than that established by your own divine imagination. Trust in the perfection of the law and allow it to work its wonders in your life. The evolution of the relationship. Now, once your soulmate has appeared in your life, the work of imagination does not cease. For relationships are dynamic, evolving entities. The same law that brings you together will keep you in harmony and deepen your connection as you continue to use your imagination constructively. If challenges arise, as they do in even the most divinely orchestrated unions, return to your imagination. Construct scenes that imply the resolution of these challenges. Feel the relief, the renewed harmony and understanding. Fall asleep in this feeling and watch as your relationship transforms to match your imagined state. This ongoing use of imagination is the secret to a relationship that continues to grow and thrive through the years. For the law never ceases to operate. What you continue to imagine and feel as real will continue to objectify itself in your experience. The ultimate revelation. And now I come to the ultimate revelation about how God introduces you to your soulmate. The greatest secret is this: your soulmate is not outside you, but within you. The relationship you seek in the external world is but a reflection of a union that must first be consummated within your own being. In the deepest spiritual sense, your soulmate is your own divine nature seeking expression through relationship. The love you seek is your own love, reflected back to you through another. The companionship you desire is communion with the God within you, made tangible in the form of another person. When you fully realize this truth, you understand that the purpose of the soulmate relationship is not merely personal happiness, but spiritual awakening. Through the mirror of relationship, you come to know yourself as God, the creator of your reality. This is the ultimate purpose of all manifestation, all desire. So as you lie in bed tonight, constructing your scene that implies you have already found and united with your soulmate, know that you are doing far more than manifesting a relationship. You are participating in the greatest spiritual adventure possible, the discovery of your true divine nature through the perfect deflection of love. Conclusion, the promise fulfilled. I have shared with you tonight the law by which God, your own wonderful human imagination, introduces you to your soulmate. I have given you the practical steps to apply this law in your life. But beyond the law lies the promise that you will awaken to the realization that you are God, expressing as the specific individual you perceive yourself to be. This awakening is the true purpose of all desire, all manifestation. Your desire for a soulmate is not merely a human longing for companionship. It is the divine within you seeking to know itself through relationship. As you use your imagination to manifest your soulmate, you are participating in this greater spiritual purpose. And when you look into the eyes of your beloved and recognize there the God that you yourself are, the circle is complete. The promise is fulfilled. You have not only found your soulmate, you have found yourself. You have experienced the truth of the ancient teaching, I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine. This is the ultimate revelation about how God introduces you to your soulmate. God does not introduce you to someone outside yourself. God, your own wonderful human imagination, reveals to you the love that you are through the perfect mirror of relationship. Tonight, as you retire to your bed, remember that you are engaging in the most divine activity possible, the activity of creation. Through your imagination, you are bringing into being not just a relationship, but a new state of consciousness, a new understanding of who and what you truly are. Feel the reality of soulmate's presence. Fall asleep in that feeling, and know with absolute certainty that what you have felt as real in imagination must objectify itself in your world, for that is the law, and the law must fulfill itself. The God in you, your own wonderful human imagination, is introducing you to your soulmate right now. As you sit in this room, absorbing these words, the introduction is taking place not in the physical world, but in the world of imagination, which is the only reality. The physical manifestation must follow, for that is the nature of creation. Trust in the law, rest in the promise, and watch and wonder as the miracle of divine union unfolds in your life, revealing to you not only the perfect partner, but the perfect self, the God that you truly are.